you are getting the exact years to target, the trims to skip, the real used price windows, and the reasons each SUV is cheap for the right reason or the wrong one. That is where the value hides. In this video, we are covering 10 SUVs, the real price bands, the best deal trims, what to avoid, and why these SUVs still make smart sense. We are sorting the soft listings from the truly smart buys so you can see where the real discount lives before somebody else notices. Number 1 is the Toyota people laughed at for years, right up until they actually lived with it and realized it quietly does almost everything a normal driver needs every day. Number 10, 2015 to 2018 Mitsubishi Outlander Sport. Basic can be beautiful when the goal is a cheap daily driver that does not ask for attention. The best deal here is the 2.4 GT or SE Outlander Sport. After Mitsubishi woke it up for 2015, the naturally aspirated four-cylinder and compact crossover shape are the whole pitch. Rough, high-mile examples can dip into the low $3,000 range, while cleaner 2.4 trims push higher, because buyers who know the difference actually want them. These sit because people hear Mitsubishi, see plain styling, and assume rental-grade boredom. Fine. That discount helps us. What makes this one special is simple. It is one of the cheapest ways into a real small SUV shape that still handles daily life without feeling oversized, fragile, or too precious to use. Parking is easy, visibility is decent, and the whole thing feels light enough for city driving. It also suits drivers who want a simple runabout with enough ground clearance for rough parking lots, bad weather, and everyday errands without big SUV bulk. It is not exciting, but that is exactly why it works as a bargain. What should you avoid? Pre-2015. Base feel versions if you want decent punch, because even owner chatter makes it pretty clear the later 2.4 setup feels less strained and more usable. If the price gap is not crazy, buy the engine that makes the vehicle feel like enough. Number 9. 2015 to 2018. Ford Edge. Quiet, comfortable, and much more upscale than people expect. The Edge keeps sitting because buyers lump it in with every other midsize crossover and never look closer. The best deal trims are the SEL, or Titanium, with the 3.5-liter V6. That is the smart play. The 2016 to 2018 market usually lands around the high $8,000 range into the mid-teens, depending on trim and mileage, and that can buy you a lot more road trip SUV than the same money compact crossovers deliver. What makes the Edge special is how grown up it feels. The seats are solid, the ride is calm, and the cabin often feels more expensive than the used price suggests. That matters if you spend real time on the highway. Another reason the Edge works is that it feels less frantic than many smaller crossovers. The doors are wide, the ride settles quickly, and the whole thing gives older buyers a more relaxed, long-leg highway feel. This is one of those SUVs that hides in plain sight because it does not scream for attention. But once you drive one, you realize it is a better long-distance machine than a lot of smaller, trendier crossovers people still overpay for. What should you avoid? The 2.0 EcoBoost if your whole mission is low-drama, long-term ownership. The turbo option can be tempting on paper, but the naturally aspirated V6 is the safer value answer when the vehicle is already old enough that complexity matters. If the point of this video is the best deals, then the calmer engine is the one that actually fits the argument. Number 8. 2017 to 2019. Buick Envision. Smooth, silent, and almost weirdly easy to drive, the Buick Envision is the kind of crossover people ignore for badge reasons while smarter buyers notice the deal. The best trims are preferred or Essence with the 2.5-liter four-cylinder and 6-speed automatic. That combination is the value play, and current used examples can start around $8,000 and run into the mid-teens depending on miles and trim. These sit because the Buick badge scares off image shoppers, and because many buyers never quite know where the Envision fits. That confusion keeps the pricing soft. What makes this one special is that it feels more premium than the badge suggests and easier to drive than many rivals in the same class. The cabin is quiet, the steering is light, and the overall feel is more relaxed than shoppers expect. It works especially well for buyers who want easier entry height, good comfort, and a crossover that never feels bulky in traffic or parking lots. It also has the kind of tidy size that helps nervous drivers feel comfortable right away. You are not wrestling with a huge hood or a giant turning circle, and that matters when your daily routine is parking lots, school pickups, or heavy suburban traffic. For a buyer who wants a crossover that feels civilized instead of trendy, the Envision makes a stronger case than the market admits. That is real value, not fake brochure value. What should you avoid? The 2.0 turbo premium versions if your whole point is getting a low-drama bargain. Those trims add extra complexity, and the market usually does not reward them enough to make that gamble worthwhile. The 2.5 is the calmer, smarter buy. Subscribe if you want the SUVs everyone overlooks, not the same overpriced safe bets every lazy used car video keeps repeating to everybody today. Number 7, 2014 to 2016 Kia Sorento. Here's the family crossover most shoppers underrate because they still hear Kia and think cheap, when the right Sorento is one of the better value plays sitting on used lots. The best deal angle is the LX or EX with the 3.3-liter V6 and the 6-speed automatic. That is the version that makes this SUV worth your time. A 2014 V6, Sorento can still sit in the $6,000 to $8,000 range, with cleaner later examples climbing higher, and that is exactly where the opportunity lives. Buyers skip them because the badge does not carry enough status, the shape blends into traffic, and the market still acts like a Sorento must be second tier, next to a Pilot or Highlander. But the V6 changes the whole experience. It gives the Sorento real highway ease, real passing power, and a more relaxed feel when you load it with family, bags, or a full week of life. Owner feedback on the V6 models is often very positive because these do not feel strained. They feel smooth, quiet enough for long drives, and more substantial than the resale suggests. The interior is useful, the seating position is easy to live with, and the package gives you more crossover for the money than the badge would ever admit. What makes it special is simple. The V6 Sorento gives you family space, useful features, and a stronger driving experience without asking for the same premium buyers keep paying for more famous names. What should you avoid? The 2.4 four-cylinder if your goal is a low-stress used buy. The V6 is the whole point here. If you buy the cheapest engine to save a little upfront, you miss the version that actually makes this SUV feel like a smart deal. Number 6, 2013 to 2016 Ford Flex. Big, boxy, and completely outside modern crossover fashion, the Ford Flex keeps getting ignored by buyers who cannot decide whether it is a wagon, a family hauler, or a rolling dad joke. Good. That confusion creates real value. The best deal trims are the SE, SEL, or Limited, with the naturally aspirated 3.5 V6. 2013 to 2015 examples often show from about $5,900 into the low teens depending on trim, miles, and condition, and that is strong money for this much usable metal. What makes the Flex special is the amount of space and comfort you get without stepping into full-size SUV bulk. The interior is huge, the visibility is excellent, the ride is smooth, and the third row is genuinely useful instead of being there for brochure copy. This is one of those vehicles people talk themselves out of because it looks too square, too mature, or too different. Then they buy a smaller crossover for more money and less room. That is the market mistake. The Flex works because it is easy to see out of, easy to load, and easy to live with if your life involves kids, road trips, groceries, or carrying actual people. The naturally aspirated 3.5 is the long-haul value play because it keeps the story simpler. What should you avoid? Avoid the EcoBoost if the goal is easier ownership and lower long-term cost. Yes, the turbo version is fast and kind of fun. That is not the point of this video. The plain V6 keeps the package more calm, more affordable to live with, and more aligned with why the Flex is sitting cheap in the first place. This is the big, useful thing people dismiss because they cannot get past the shape. Number 5. 2017 to 2019 Hyundai Santa Fe XL. This is the Hyundai family SUV buyers keep overlooking because they confuse it with the wrong Hyundai story, and that mistake leaves real value on the table. The version that matters here is the Santa Fe XL, not the smaller Sport, and the best deal trims are the SSE Limited, or Limited Ultimate with the 3.3-liter V6 and the 6-speed automatic. That drivetrain is the whole reason this SUV belongs in the outline. Used supply usually starts around the high $9,000 range and climbs from there. But even that still looks fair when you measure what you are getting. This thing offers real family comfort, real V6 power, and a calmer transmission story than plenty of newer 8-speed competitors that sound modern but do not always feel smoother. The XL sits because it gets trapped between compact crossovers and the bigger 3-row names buyers brag about. A lot of shoppers never realize that the V6 XL is a much safer value conversation than the smaller Hyundai crossover SUVs that damage the brand's image. That lets patient buyers win. What makes it special is that it feels like a genuine family road trip tool instead of a compromised stopgap. The cabin is roomy, the ride is quiet enough, the V6 feels strong on the highway, and the third row gives you real flexibility without making the vehicle feel giant. It also has a clean, sensible interior layout that matters when you use every seat and every storage bin. Do not blend this SUV into the Santa Fe Sport 4-cylinder story. That is not the buy here. The V6 XL is the one that gives you the stronger value case, the easier driving feel, and the more reliable ownership pitch for someone who wants family size without paying pilot or Telluride money. We are building this channel for buyers who want the right powertrain and the right value, not just the trendiest shape on the lot. Number 4. 2018 to 2020 Buick Enclave. If you want a soft-riding near-luxury family hauler without paying full near-luxury money, the Enclave is one of the clearest examples of the market getting the math wrong. The best deal angle is the Essence trim with the 3.6-liter V6 and the 9-speed automatic. The Enclave sits because it is a 3-row Buick in a market where buyers would rather pay extra for a Pilot, Telluride, or Highlander badge, even when those SUVs do not always feel richer inside. That leaves softness in the high teens, with 2018 examples commonly around $16,000 to $19,000 and sometimes more, depending on miles and region. What makes this one special is how quiet and comfortable it feels for the money. The cabin has a premium leaning finish, the ride is silent enough for long highway stretches, and the family space is absolutely real. Adults fit, cargo works, and the thing feels like it was built for long trips instead of short test drives. The Enclave does not beg for attention, but it gives you an experience that feels more expensive than the badge and resale suggest. It is especially strong for buyers who want easier entry, broad seats, and a crossover that feels composed instead of fussy. What should you avoid? The Avenir is the goal of value. It adds cost and image without changing the basic 3.6 and 9-speed formula that already makes the cheaper trims attractive. If you can buy the same smooth V6 and the same roomy body in an Essence for less money, that is the move. This is the soft-riding family SUV the market still discounts, because too many shoppers buy reputation first and comfort second. Number 3. 2013 to 2015 Honda Crosstour. Ugly or not, this is the Honda that the market judged too fast, and that is why it still sits with real value on dealer lots. The best deal angle is the EX or EXL, especially the 2.4-liter cars if you want the calmer ownership story. Used pricing stretches from the high $5,000 range into the teens, and a lot of honest higher-mile examples still live in the high single digits to low teens, which keeps this one right in the sweet spot for buyers who care about function over fashion. What makes the Crosstour special is not style. It is the combination of Honda familiarity, hatchback practicality, easier entry height, and road trip comfort without actual crossover price inflation. It gives you more cargo flexibility than a normal sedan, a more relaxed seating position, and a shape that turns out to make sense the moment you stop staring at it and actually use it. That is the whole story here. Buyers laughed at the roofline, called it awkward, and kept shopping for trendier badges, while the Crosstour quietly kept being useful. It also helps that the cabin feels more mature than cheap, and the road manners are calmer than many compact crossovers that people still overpay to drive. Another reason it works so well is that the hatch opening is wide. The rear seat is genuinely useful for adults, and the step-in height feels friendlier than a normal sedan without becoming truck-like. For commuters, retirees, or buyers who just want one vehicle to handle daily life without drama, that matters. You also get Honda familiarity in the controls and driving feel, which makes the whole thing easier to trust as a long-term daily. If you want the cleanest ownership bet, avoid the 2010 to 2011 V6 cars, because the extra power is nice, but the higher buy-in and weaker fuel economy make the value case less sharp and less simple. And if an all-wheel drive EXL V6 starts creeping too close to CRV money, the value case weakens fast. The best buy is the plain, honest version that the market still refuses to admire. That is exactly why the discount survives. Subscribe if you want the exact cheap buys ignored for image, not the junk that looks affordable because the powertrain story is already telling you to run. Number 2. 2020 to 2022. Nissan Armada. Big, thirsty, and still underloved enough to be a real deal, the Armada is what happens when the market punishes a full-size SUV for being too honest about what it is. The best deal trims are the SV or SL, because they keep the core value without pushing pricing into luxury brand territory. 2020 examples can be found around the high teens into the low 20s, while 2021 to 2022 trucks often live in the high 20s, and that gap matters because it still undercuts a lot of Tahoe, Yukon, and Sequoia money. What makes the Armada special is that you get a real V8, real body-on-frame feel, and serious family hauler and towing presence for less money than the more fashionable full-size names usually demand. This is not a subtle SUV. It is heavy, strong, and built for buyers who still want something that feels substantial on the road. It also drives with a smoother, more settled highway character than people expect once they get past the fuel economy fear. The cabin is roomy enough for family duty. The ride feels more composed than many buyers expect from something this large. And the whole package starts making sense once you stop comparing the gas bill to a mid-size crossover. It also gives you that old-school full-size confidence many newer family SUVs simply do not have. That is why it belongs this high on the list. Buyers keep overlooking it because it is overshadowed by the louder names in the segment, not because the truck itself lacks usefulness. What should you avoid? If you want the safest value play, skip the 2017 to 2019 years and lean into 2020 plus, and also skip the fully loaded trims if the price starts rubbing shoulders with better respected rivals. The smartest buy here is the one that gives you the hardware, the room, and the V8 without dragging image tax pricing back into the deal. Number 1. 2013 to 2015. Toyota Venza. This is the Toyota that people laughed at until they actually lived with one, and that is exactly why it finishes first. The best deal angle is the LE or XLE, with the VE6 getting the nod if the price gap is sensible. The Venza is the cleanest example of the whole thesis because it still looks like a wagon crossover identity crisis to the market, and that confusion keeps the used pricing softer than it should be. Appraisal numbers can dip into the mid-$6,000 range on certain older examples, while real dealer listings commonly land in the low to mid-teens, with some average asking prices clustering around the mid-13s. That is fair for what this vehicle actually gives you. What makes it special is that it quietly does almost everything most crossover buyers really need. Easy entry, comfortable seating, useful cargo space, Toyota dependability, and road manners that stay calm instead of trying to fake toughness. The reason it sits is simple. It has no cool factor. It never gave buyers a clean category label. It looked too tall for sedan people, too wagonish for crossover people, and too normal for trend shoppers. That is your opening. The Venza works because it solves real life better than it sells an image. It is easy to get in and out of, easy to load, and easy to spend hours in without feeling cramped or beat up. The cabin feels more relaxed than many compact SUVs, and the visibility and seating height land in a very useful middle ground. It also helps that the Venza avoids the fake rugged attitude so many newer crossovers use to justify higher pricing. It just gives you the space, the seating, and the calm road manners, without asking you to play along with any image story. That is a huge part of why owners who actually use them tend to understand them more than shoppers who only stare at the shape. Another point in its favor is that the Venza never feels like it is trying too hard. The controls are straightforward, the body size stays manageable, and the ride has a smooth, settled feel that makes daily use easier. What should you avoid? Limited trims or certain all-wheel drive V6 examples, when they drift too close to newer RAV4 or CRV pricing. The best play is the ordinary-looking LE or XLE that keeps the discount alive. This is not the one buyers brag about. It is the one they end up loving after a month of normal use. Good car, bad image, real deal. That is why it wins. Click the next video now because that is the used SUV list to avoid. And you need both sides before you sign anything or talk yourself into the wrong deal.